Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome to episode 185 of the It's Obvious podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Preston Pugh, and I'm joined by my best friend, Garrett Drake.
Hey, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you? I'm looking at a nice box of yourself on my computer screen because we are currently communicating across the interweb because I'm not at your house.
And Jacob is absent, unfortunately, because he is ill. Now, I've never let my illness stop me from being on this podcast. I think the only time I was ever off was when I had, what surgery was that? Was it my appendix or was it my face? I think I stuck around for my face. I missed one a few weeks ago because I was sick. I had a horrible sore throat. I take back what I said. Jacob, forgive me. I understand. Had to think there for a second, but yeah, I can relate to his pain, so he's not with us. And there's no video, obviously, because none of us are together. But the podcast lives on nonetheless. How was your week?
Oh, it was just great. How was your week?
That was pretty good. I did not much of anything. I didn't do much of anything. Excuse me. I'm still waking up here myself. I go back to school tomorrow, and I have a pretty easy schedule this quarter. I'm pretty excited about it. Fun classes, too. But I already have to do a pre-quarter assignment after this podcast that I'm not excited about. But actually, let me bring this to your attention, Preston. Maybe you and some friends in the comments below. Actually, they won't hear this until after I've had to turn the assignment in. So you and I have to determine this right now. So I have to read a couple short stories today. And I have to create a hero. And in 350 words, I have to create this hero and tell the class why this individual is a hero. You want to help me determine that today?
Okay, now is it like a superhero or just a normal person?
I think it can be literally anything. One of the excerpts I had to read was from Norse mythology by a particular author, and I'm actually excited about it. I had to order like 10 books for this class, and I plan on reading all of them, but Norse mythology is one of the main ones, and of course, having played the most recent God of War, I'm excited to read more into that. Mm-hmm. But it can be anything. It can be a superhero. It can be a person you've met in real life. It can be a dog who possesses the ability to turn purple on command. Anything like that.
Why would that make him a hero?
Because maybe someone loves the color purple, and when he turns purple, it makes them very happy. Therefore, in their eyes, that purple dog is a hero.
Okay.
Anything immediately come to mind?
I mean, I guess it depends on if you want to be somewhat serious or not.
Right.
Because I guess you could get the easy way out and like pick somebody you personally know, or just or vaguely describe who they are, so you don't like actually say personal things, you know?
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe we'll dwell on it and something will strike us in the heart by the end of this podcast. I just wanted to throw that your way, and maybe it'll cook a bit while we're talking here today.
Okay. Well, thanks for throwing it in my oven.
Yeah, of course. Don't overcook it, my friend. I'd greatly appreciate it if you treated it with great care and I don't know, just take good care of it.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man.
This is very weird.
I saw you this week.
I'm alone in my room talking to you. It's always bizarre when we do this.
I saw you this week.
You did, yeah. I stopped by your place and we saw Spider-Man together. How'd you feel about it?
That was nice. Oh, I thought it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
As did I. It was great a second time. I may or may not be seeing it a third time today with my girlfriend.
Oh, wow.
Because if she wants to see it again, and I don't know if Jacob's going to go, because originally the plan was for the three of us to go today, but he's sick. But I may be seeing it a third time, and I'm not upset about it because that movie is truly excellent, and it deserves to be seen on the big screen. And I'm sad that it hasn't made a ton of money, but of course, critically, it's been very well recognized, and I certainly hope we get a sequel as soon as possible.
I agree. That's probably the first movie in an extremely long time that I'm actually looking forward to buying. I really want to see just how beautiful it looks in, like 4K.
Absolutely.
But it would it looked fantastic in the theater, but yeah, I would love to own that flick because I think that is one that I probably would watch occasionally.
Certainly. Yeah. Even just visuals alone, you could watch that movie in silence and it still be somewhat entertaining just because of the way it looks.
Yeah, for sure.
So
what if the entire movie was in silence with like
just like a score over it? and text bubbles.
Yeah,
that'd
like,
be kind of
like
cool.
a comic book.
What if they like in the DVD or the Blu-ray? There's a version. There's typically like a version you can watch it with director's commentary over it. What if they had a version like that where the entire movie just had a score and speech bubbles like a comic book?
Cool.
I think it would be too.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie moves very quickly, and there's a lot of quips in it, so it'd be kind of hard to do that. But I'd be open to them trying to do something like that. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, the bulk of my gaming experiences this week were actually at your abode. I had a taste of Pavlov and Beat Saber, and both were a really good time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I desperately want to invest in a VR unit for the old PC as soon as possible. It's quite, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not awake yet. Quite an investment, I'll say, to do that at the moment, but I'm eager because there's so many VR titles I'm currently missing out on. Now, of course, I have PlayStation VR, but I kind of want to take that next step in VR and go for Oculus like everyone's suggesting. I love Vive, but everyone's telling me to go Oculus mostly because of those controllers.
Yeah.
So,
and exclusive
experiences I've had on both are truly solid, but I've been yammering about how I want PlayStation VR to have analog sticks on their controllers forever, and Oculus already has that, so it's probably the route I'll go.
For sure. I really, really need to get to Astrobot at some point. But it's just, I would have played it already if my PSVR has been out and set up, but I haven't done that yet. And it is a little bit of an ordeal to set it up. I don't want to like set it up and tear it down and set it up. Like if I set it up, I want it to be permanent, and to do that, I'd have to I think buy an extender for the PlayStation camera so I'm able to like run it through my wall and stuff. I don't just want it to be sat out with wires going everywhere. So I just haven't had the motivation to really do that yet,
Yeah, I get that. I hear Astrobot is truly a joyful experience. It makes people happy.
I've seen that on that people's not even VR game of the year, but just game of the year list.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely.
Which is cool because you and I recognized the potential of that even in the demo for PlayStation VR when we first got it.
The Playroom VR. The first time I finished that, I was like, this has to be an actual game. So cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely will pick it up. I want to try Firestorm or whatever that Rainbow Six
that shooter
game. Yeah, that uses the aim controller.
Yeah.
That looks really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm still interested in trying Blood and Truth when it comes out.
Yeah, that as well. I'm so used to Vive though, with having the whole room as your area. I just hope going back to I'm not even talking about the resolution or anything between the headsets, but just the differences in the controls. I hope it's not crazy distracting or alarming going from playing the Vive for such a long time to PSVR where you have to stay in your little bubble.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it for sure. Does Oculus function the same as Vive in terms of the sensors?
Not exactly the same. It has these little poles with these little cylinder things that sit on top of them that kind of emit a signal.
Okay.
So I don't think it uses cameras, but I think it is just as effective, I believe, in terms of tracking.
Well, cool. So I also want to try Tetris Effect. I keep seeing clips from that and just hearing the music from the game, and it seems like a very ethereal experience, and I want to be a part of it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the soundtrack of that game is insane. I've listened to it, just not even having played the game. But again, that game is so expensive still. It's like $40, I think, full price.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
And I cannot.
I'm not going to play $40 for Tetris, dude. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's either 30 or 40. I'm pretty sure it's 40, but that is a little too much for Tetris in my opinion. But I would at least just
Granted, it is a very visually stimulating experience, and like we just said, the soundtrack's awesome. So I get why it's that price, but at the end of the day, you are just playing Tetris. Yeah. So it's just a very spruced up version of it.
Yeah. There's a really, really cool YouTube video of the world champion Tetris player playing that game and then playing it for the first time in VR. And it is just fascinating to see him just how he plays the game, and just him kind of experiencing this game that he is a master at, that he's played his entire life, in a completely new light of VR, just his reaction to it.
Yeah.
Very cool. I believe it, the guy that did the video, I could be completely wrong, But I think it's Nick something. He used to be with Rev3. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Nick Robinson?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it's his video, because I believe he also has another video where he takes Insomniac Spider-Man and lets the guy that created Spider-Man 2's web slinging play it, which that's a very interesting video as well. So I think those are both his videos. I could be wrong, though. I know for a fact the Spider-Man one is his. I'm just not sure about the Texas one. But I'm sure if you just YouTube the premise of that, you'll find it. But yeah, good video.
That sounds pretty cool. I also got my ass kicked in Insurgency Sandstorm last night while we played together.
Yeah, we both did.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know I mentioned it last night, but I don't know if because we were playing with each other, we were getting grouped with a lot better people than we have been playing with independently. But typically in that game, I can hold my own. And did we even talk about this last week, or did we say we were going to buy it? Or no, we didn't even mention about
getting into it last week.
Yeah. So we got into it, obviously, and I really like the game a whole lot. It's graphically, it's nothing to write home about. The gun models are excellent, but the character models are pretty goofy. The character animations are pretty goofy, but the sound design and overall just
the gunplay especially is just the highlight of the game.
Yeah, it's just super intense.
It is.
And it took me a few games for it to really click, but just one match, everything was working right. Everybody was using teamwork, and we were like clearing out rooms, and I was playing well, and just the sound of people, like the sound design of bombs going off and people being shot at and stuff. It just all clicked, and it was super awesome, very intense. Like you said, gunplay's excellent. So I played that all week and was having a ton of fun. And then we finally grouped up last night and just got our butts kicked in.
Yeah. A lot of that has to do too. I was also very impatient last night. It's kind of like the first few times I played Hunt, where I wanted to just be a madman and run around like crazy. And I realized the more patient you are, the more success you'll see. You just have to be willing to either camp in a spot or post up somewhere for more than 5 seconds to actually earn a kill most of the time, because many of the times I died, people were just posted up somewhere and I ran by and they shot me.
Yeah.
So, but I like that though, because I've noticed that the games that demand teamwork are always the best team-based multiplayer experiences. Not unlike even more recently with last year, The Nightmare, Rainbow Six Siege, and especially this one, because the time to kill is nearly instantaneous depending on how far away you are, which weapon you're using and whatnot. So, I mean, without teamwork and combining, like smoke grenades and whoever's like a marksman's posted in the right place and breachers are doing the right thing and riflemen are in certain spaces, it really is contingent on the amount of teamwork implemented. And I like that a lot. So although I sucked, I'm really digging it so far.
Yeah, me too. I look forward to playing more of it. Yeah,
agreed. Other than that, I think I only played Smash this week, a little bit on the go.
Yeah.
And
same
unlocking
here.
A few more characters here and there. I can't remember exactly who I unlocked this week, but I got a few more.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying it every time I play.
Oh, yeah. We played quite a bit last time I left your house.
Yeah. You beat me every single time, but we had some pretty good fights. A few of those rounds were close calls, but I've yet to defeat you. Maybe one day I shall.
I thought you beat me one time.
If I did, it's because you killed yourself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's because you killed yourself one of those times. But I'll take the victory if you're willing to give it to me.
Yeah, I'll give you one.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I'm still playing that as well. I think I have like 2 more characters to unlock, and I don't even know who they are, and I haven't unlocked them yet. They're not coming for some reason. But
weird.
Hopefully they decide to show up at some point.
Well, you have a pretty nice roster to look forward to as far as additional characters coming to the game, 2 of which we know already, of course, are Joker and Piranha Plant. But I want to just go ahead and jump into the story if you're up for it, including a list of potential leaks that are probably real because they sound real, and that's coming from a guy who's been correct in the past.
Okay.
But I'm going to run them by and see what you think.
Okay.
And one of these we actually, I believe, predicted, which is pretty cool. It comes from Colin Stevens of IGN. It's regarding, as I mentioned, the leaked roster of characters that have yet to be officially announced. So it says, as reported by Gear Nuke, this unconfirmed rumor comes from the Japanese forum site 5channel user Mr. Anonymous Desperate. This user claims the 4 remaining fighters coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate are Edric from Dragon Quest series, Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden, Steve, the default player character in Minecraft, and Doom Guy, aka the Marine from the Doom series. This leak originally came back on December 9th, but has since become somewhat substantiated as the leak referenced the existence of Persona 5R, a title that was later revealed to be real on December 30th. This leak also claims that Persona 5R will be released in the first half of 2019, a piece of information Atlas has yet to disclose. And as we know, Joker and Piranha Plant already announced. So out of those other ones, like Edric, Ryu, Steve, and Doom Guy, which of those gets you the most excited?
Probably Ryu and Doom Guy.
Yeah, you and me both. I think those are both so cool.
I just,
that's...
I don't, just the thought of Doom Guy in Smash is just like almost too much. I don't even know how to process that.
Yeah, because he's so brutal, but I imagine he'll play not totally unlike. I'd like to think of him as a faster Snake, because he has an arsenal similar to Snake's, but he's much quicker. Obviously, when you move around in the game, it's very fast paced. So I'd imagine him to be a speedy, like gadget type character, where he has the super shotgun to maybe blast guys off of the arena. He could use the machine gun, similar to either Fox or Samus, as far as nicking away damage. What's something else? Because I doubt they'll use the Doom Eternal version of him with like the meat hook and everything. So I imagine we'll get Doom 2016 guy, or maybe they'll even go classic.
Dude, classic Doom would be awesome.
I imagine that'd be one of his skins, especially. Would be classic
for sure.
Doom. Even if they gave him like the 8-bit. No, I don't know if it was 8-bit, but whatever, how many ever bits were in that original version, like that art style on that skin would be really
just
cool.
What he looks like on the cover of those,
that would be cool.
Yeah, so cool.
But I'm trying to think of other, maybe I assume we'll have grenades, maybe the rocket launcher.
I'm sure his like side smash and stuff will, or maybe his grabs will be something along the lines of like the glory kills, or he just like punches them really hard or knees them or something.
Yeah.
Maybe, or I could also see super shotgun being like your left or right smash.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Especially, I don't know, because obviously he doesn't charge that up in the game, but
yeah, what would his up smash be?
Man, I don't know. That's what's hard to determine. I imagine he'd just take the super shotgun and like uppercut them in the face with it, and they'd go flying or something.
Okay, yeah, that'd be super interesting. I could see, as far as like Ryu Hayabusa, that essentially like writes itself. All the stuff that he could do. Steve, I think that makes perfect sense. That people have been talking about that forever. I think that would be pretty cool. He would kind of remind me of the villagers, kind of just pulling out just random stuff.
Like random cubes of stuff that he can build.
Yeah.
And he has his pickaxe, of course.
Yeah. And then the Dragon Quest guy, I looked him up. He's from like an older Dragon Quest. He's not from the one that I've been playing, so I have no clue what he would ever do. But kind of bummed I don't see Goku. That guy kind of looks like Goku. The Dragon Quest guy looks like his twin pretty much. But
yeah, maybe they couldn't grab him. They'll go like they decide. Well, at least we'll go for the look of Goku.
Yeah,
it's the closest we can get.
Yeah. But
I think those, regardless,
if those are real,
really cool.
Just Joker, Doom Guy, Ryu, like just those three, like that is worth the Smash Pass for sure.
Absolutely, that is freaking awesome. Yeah, excited for that. I'm going to continue playing, of course, and I am eager to get my hands on those characters.
For sure,
I'll probably still lose to you every time, but it'll be cool.
Hey, man, at least we're having fun, man.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Am I right?
Yeah, dude. Well, speaking of Japanese games, dude, I've been playing the F out of Yakuza 0.
Yes, you have.
I have always heard the Yakuza games are fun, so I decided to pick up 0 on a Steam sale, and man, I am having just an absolute blast. I don't regret purchasing that at all, even with all the other games in my backlog, but that's pretty much all I've played this week. Yeah, it's just super Japanesey, and I like it a whole lot. I don't really know what else to say about it. The combat, it's just an extremely entertaining game. I don't necessarily think the combat is fun. It's not
you
like,
do think it's fun, right?
Yeah, I do think it's a lot of fun. It's like it's like a brawler, but I think that's short selling it just a little bit. Like there's counters and dodging and blocking and different fighting styles and stuff. So it's just a whole lot of fun. There's a lot of the boss fights I've done are super epic, like the build up to them and everything. But the main thing that I'm really enjoying is just the world and the story. Just running around. The world's not super big. At least I don't know if there's other parts of it, but the part that I'm in now, actually, I have two parts. I just got past chapter 3, which you actually play as another character, and he has a different place that he runs around as well. So I don't know if, I'm assuming the characters might meet, and then you might be able to traverse between the two areas. But both of the areas, they're not very big, but there's a lot of activities to do. You can go to the arcade, you can go to karaoke, you can go to a disco club, you can go play baseball, you can go fishing, you can there's just so much to do. There's side quests. There's like a ton of side quests everywhere. I've done things from, like I just told you yesterday, help a parody of Michael Jackson film his Thriller video, to be a producer for like a TV show, to helping a dominatrix learn how to be tougher for her clients and stuff. Like just the most random stuff. All of it super. Oh yeah, I did one side quest where these girls were selling their panties, and I had to convince them that wasn't a good idea. And this creepy guy like came after the leader of the group with like a knife, so I had to like beat him up and stuff. Just crazy, over the top stuff like that. On top of just a fairly serious, really interesting story that involves a guy who is involved with the Yakuza, who was adopted by a guy with the Yakuza. I don't want to go too much into it, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm definitely going to beat it, and I look forward to getting into the other installments. I know I definitely have a lot ahead of me, so I hope this game isn't. I know I've always heard this game is super long to 100%, which I'm not looking to doing. Like I'm doing side quests as they come up, but I don't think I'm going to go out of my way to 100%. I just kind of want to enjoy it, get through it, and then hopefully go on to the next one just to kind of see where the story goes. So.
Yeah, from what I saw you play, I'm definitely interested and want to play it myself. I almost picked it up last night off Humble Bundle, but I resisted because within the week I'll be starting a game for review for COG, which I'm extremely excited about, and that's going to eat up all my time. So I wouldn't be able to get to it for a while anyway. Yeah. But later on, I have every intention of playing that as soon as I'm able, because it looks like a ton of fun, and I'm glad that since you've played it, especially, I definitely want to play, because I'd always kind of had an interest because people have been telling me for a while how good those games were. Yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely going to jump in as soon as I can. Yeah, well, that is the Humble Bundle deal for like 28 more days, I believe. That and the Division, and I believe like 4 or 5 other games that'll be unveiled later on this month. Pretty sick, dude.
So really
pretty
good
sick.
Deal. But yeah, I've been playing that. I hopped back into Okami as well. Played a lot more of that game. I think I'm up to like 12 or 13 hours in that game. And I'm finally hitting, I know I said last week that it is, I've been told it's like Zelda, but I didn't really hit the point where I see the similarities with Zelda. I've hit that point. I've done a dungeon. I've gone in the dungeon and learned a skill, which helped me progress further in the dungeon and beat the boss with that skill. So finally I was like, okay, here is Zelda right here. But I am loving that game, dude. It is absolutely fantastic. It is beautiful. It's insane how old that game is, and how just its art style alone just makes it look like a modern game. Yeah, I'm really, really enjoying that game. I'm going out of town tomorrow on a Monday, so I'm just bringing my Switch, and that's all I'm gonna play. So I'm probably gonna knock that game out this week and finish that up. So very much looking forward to that, enjoying it a whole ton.
Okami's on my growing list of Switch titles I want to pick up as soon as possible. It's just so hard to fit in, obviously, with other stuff I have going on, including school and work. But I think my top 3 Switch titles I'm desperate to play are, which not all are exclusive to Switch, but what I want to play in Switch are Okami after you showed it to me, Return of the Obra Dinn, and Hollow Knight. Yeah, and I think an honorable mention would be Monster Boy, because I've heard a lot of chatter about that one. So all those look just outstanding. I wish I had more time.
Yeah, I have to start knocking these games out, dude. My backlog just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and I just keep adding games and adding more games onto it. Like I have to finish. I need to finish Okami this week, and I really need to sit down and I probably just need to go ahead and finish Yakuza because that's fresh on my mind, and then after that, I need to try and knock out Dragon Quest. Because that is a super, super long game that I have a ton of hours into already. And actually, I might need to just knock that out because that story, I'm a lot deeper into it than I am of Yakuza, and I don't want to forget everything. And that's just a lot more complex than Yakuza. So, yeah, I'm not sure yet. But I think if I can knock those 3 games out, I'll be pretty good. I still have Odyssey, but I can get to that later. I still kind of know what's going on in that game and everything, so I'm not worried about kind of like forgetting anything about that. And then I still have Let's Go Pikachu, which I'm not worried about getting out of the groove of that game because I can just play that on the go whenever. But those are pretty much the games that are at the forefront of my list right now that I need to really finish.
And may the force be with you and all that, because we have a giant Q1 of 2019 of games to get to.
Yeah, I wanted to finish all that before Resident Evil comes out, but that's probably impossible.
Just a few short weeks away. I think it's less than 3 weeks now, right? We're 2 weeks out.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that game kind of coming in because I know that's not going to be a insanely long game. Like I'm
Can
sure.
you believe how close that is, though? That is so exciting.
I know. I'm incredibly excited. But then I know Kingdom Hearts is coming after that, and I'm going to want to hop into that. So I don't know. I really need to hunker down and really finish these games. So I'm bouncing around too much.
I'll refrain from sharing details, but I know you're going to be away from home for a little while, so I guess you'll have plenty of time to dabble in Switch here and there when you're able. So that's kind of good.
Yep, for sure.
But yeah. I don't think I have anything else going on if you want to jump into the news.
Yeah, man. I'm ready. This is the It's Obvious podcast, guys. A show where my 2 best friends and I normally get together every single week to discuss video games. Obviously, you can find all of our content, including the video version of this podcast, over at youtube.com/ItsObviousGaming. If YouTube isn't good for you, or you'd like to take us on the go, you can find this podcast weekly on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Audio Boom, and other podcasting services. Please check the description down below for links to our social media pages, Discord channel, Steam IDs, pretty much everything you would ever need to get in contact with us. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and be sure to like and comment down below to get involved with the It's Obvious community. Doing so helps us out tremendously, and we would forever be in your debt. With all that out of the way, hey man, what's the news?
Dude, this news isn't necessarily groundbreaking, but I think it's worth discussing. It comes courtesy of Jordan Serrani of IGN. According to IGN and multiple other media outlets, they have all announced or reported on the fact that From Software has 2 games currently in development at the studio. So they could be just about anything, but I'm going to read through these 2 tiny paragraphs and we kind of reflect on what we think they may be. So it says, Dark Souls developer From Software has 2 unannounced games currently in development, according to the studio president, forgive me, as usual, Hidetaka Miyazaki. I got the Miyazaki part right. It says, speaking with 4Gamer, Miyazaki teased both games are From Software-esque, adding that the studio needs a little more time before it discusses any further details. While those 2 games remain mysteries, we know the studio's next release will be Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, which comes to PS4, Xbox One, and PC on March 22nd. Miyazaki also commented on the fact that on the Bloodborne Easter egg found in the From Software VR adventure Deracine, I believe it's pronounced Deracine. Despite the internet theories that the Easter egg points to a confirmation of a Bloodborne sequel, Miyazaki has said it was added simply because he and several other staff members are fans of the game. Now, that's the last little bit of that paragraph, but I think the fact that he mentioned the reason why they added that Easter egg, because he, the president, and several other staff members are fans of the game, you have to think that one of those titles has to be something Bloodborne related. Why would they make 3 Dark Souls and even including Demon Souls in that? Why would they make all those games and not make a sequel to Bloodborne, which is a huge fan base and was critically well received? Mm-hmm. You'd think they'd make a sequel. But then again, Sekiro, like we've discussed, is very much an evolution of the Dark Souls-esque gameplay. Now, what could they do in Bloodborne to kind of up the ante there? I know they have like the ranged weapons that kind of play a different role in combat and everything, and is more offensive rather than defensive. But what else could they do to spice it up other than just having those really cool environments and the style of the world and everything and the monsters? What do you think?
Yeah.
Assuming one of these titles is a Bloodborne sequel. And I think one of them may be Armored Core, and we've heard rumors about that as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
It's hard to say. I think we'll know, especially after Sekiro.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another Bloodborne Easter egg in Sekiro.
Yeah.
Because that will maybe paint a clearer picture of what they could do next. Because at the end of the day, I love Bloodborne, and I intend to potentially replay it at some point if there's ever a window of opportunity. There's still countless things I need to get to, notably Persona. But yeah. I would love to play Bloodborne again one day with a kind of a fresher perspective and a new set of eyes and appreciation for that game, because having played it and then learning more about From Software's games through Dark Souls 3, and from what I've seen of Sekiro, I kind of would go into it with a different mindset, and I think I'd have a lot of fun with it. But yeah, I think Sekiro will really pave the road ahead as far as what they'll do next. Because at the end of the day, I think I'd always prefer a new IP like Sekiro, but I'd still love to return to the world of Bloodborne in some fashion, because I just love that setting a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But regardless, I think that's super exciting, because I've slowly become quite a fan of From Software since Bloodborne.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, dude, I bet it's frickin' cool, man.
Yeah, I hope so.
You have anything to add to that?
Not really.
Okay, dude. Well, maybe this will pique your interest. According to Colin Stevens of IGN, ex-Blizzard devs are currently working on a new Marvel game. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a bit lengthy, but the moral of the story is that the studio called Second Dinner is a small studio formed by former Blizzard developers, has announced it's working on a new Marvel game. The announcement came along with the news that the studios raised a $30 million minority investment from NetEase, allowing the team to expand beyond its initial 5 founders and open an office in Irvine, California. So they have a bunch of job listings, and most of these devs worked on Hearthstone and a few other games similar to that at Blizzard. And the speculation is that they may be working on a mobile game, which of course doesn't excite me at all. But I don't want to throw that theory completely out the window, because like I said, even though Florence isn't anything like what I'd imagine any Marvel mobile game to be, just that game kind of reinvigorated my interest and I wouldn't say hope, but appreciation for mobile games and what you can achieve through that platform. So maybe, let's say it is a mobile game, it could be cool. Mm-hmm. I'm going to keep an open mind about that, but regardless, knowing the talented developers who have worked on successful games like Hearthstone are reportedly working on a new Marvel game, I think is pretty cool. And I think the quote they use at the end from the team, they say, the team they've assembled at Second Dinner have made some of the greatest games in history, and now working with a Marvel Games team and playing in the Marvel universe, it's going to be amazing, or maybe spectacular, or incredible, or mighty, or quite possibly all of the above. What do you think?
What do you think?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, what would be cool? Let's say we don't know if it's confirmed, but let's say it is a mobile game. What do you think could be cool as a Marvel property in a mobile format? What could be cool to you?
I mean, to me, either
because we already have Marvel games that are like turn-based and stuff on mobile and fighting games. So what could they do that's sort of outside that box that would be interesting?
I don't know. I mean, like I know this is super unoriginal, but like just a cool card game.
Yeah, like how could you make a Marvel card game cool?
I don't know. Just kind of like, I don't know, like a Hearthstone version of Marvel stuff.
Yeah, let's say, because think about just how giant the Marvel roster is, even the niche characters no one ever talks about. You really could make a card game with characters that have different abilities, like Spider-Man maybe has, I don't know how the proper role Spider-Man would be, because of course he could be offensive, but think about the way he uses his webs to subdue people. Let's think of Spider-Man as like a trap card where he can web someone up, and then your Captain America card can throw his shield and do damage or something. And then your Hulk is like the tank or like a shield or something for your board. I don't know. But thinking about it that way, it could be kind of cool. Like all the heroes are categorized. I think
that's
different...
like too obvious though. Like they'll probably do something.
Yeah, that would be pretty obvious. Like, and then people would just call it a Hearthstone ripoff with a Marvel skin over it. But I don't know. I could see the boards being kind of cool. Like maybe there's a board that reflects New York City. There's another that reflects somewhere in space. Wakanda. I don't know. But I don't know if that would really grab my attention. But it could be a possibility. I don't know. But more Marvel coming our way, potentially in a mobile form. I don't know. But that's happening.
I'm
supposedly
more interested in Spider-Man 2 and whatever Crystal Dynamics is working on.
Amen, man. It is high time we saw what they're doing with the Avengers project.
Yeah.
Lord knows, but maybe we'll see it before or at E3 finally. I'd love that.
Yeah. I would like that too. Maybe
especially
it'll be
after
at Sony's
they
E3
handed
conference.
off their Tomb Raider franchise, and it was just kind of been there, done that. So I'd like to see what they're really made of with Avengers.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, on to the more interesting stories here, Preston. A developer remade PT in Unreal Engine with VR support.
Yeah.
And it exists currently for free. We'll see if Konami snags it. But as of right now, he's not making a cent off it, not accepting donations, but it exists. And I assume people are playing it. I've not seen it in action yet. I've just heard about it. But I would definitely like to try it in VR. And I feel like I owe it to myself and our audience to play it in VR on video, because I've been known to fall out of my chair and scream horrifically. And all of that is genuine emotion. It is not fabricated at all.
Yeah.
So if it's still, granted, I assume it's only available on PC at the moment in VR. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, it's only available on PC, period.
Right. So I'm incapable of doing that unless I came to your house one day. But have you tried downloading this?
Not yet. I did see somebody on YouTube play through it, and it looks, for the most part, exactly the same.
Okay.
So the guy did a good job.
On him, man. It's amazing that he recreated it and for it to look as accurate as possible to the original version and add VR support. I mean, this guy's probably going to get hired by someone for doing this. Because I always wonder, sometimes people make mods, like in a minute I'll talk about the Capital Wasteland Fallout 3 mod, and even like what you talked about with New California with New Vegas's latest mod, and then this guy doing the PT thing. It's almost like they're using it as a ploy to get a job somewhere, because sometimes it's better than just submitting a resume, but showing the world what you're capable of doing all on your own. Yeah. Seems like a good route to go to me. So maybe that's his underlying goal. But at the end of the day, I'm sure people who really enjoyed PT, I myself enjoyed it, just scared the crap out of me. I'm sure people appreciate it, so that's cool. But hopefully it lasts and Konami doesn't rip it down, because I'd love to someday play that again, especially in VR.
Yeah, I'm not really itching to get back to it. But,
yeah, I'd imagine that's the case, especially Jacob. It'd be a miracle if I could get Jacob to play it.
Yeah, that's one of the scariest things I've ever tried to do, like regardless of media, like just like movie or video game. That thing freaked the hell out of me.
Yeah, it's a spooky one, to say the least. It definitely got me good there. Yeah. And I didn't even fully understand it when I played it. I thought it was just an endless loop. I didn't realize you could actually finish that demo.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget turning that corner and seeing that tall woman standing in the hallway.
Yeah.
So that rocked my world.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's back. It's the game that just keeps on returning. You can't kill it.
Yeah. God, what? I hope one day we can just know what it was going to be.
I know. It just really bums me out, man.
What was the game?
Yeah, especially because now we're getting that Resident Evil 2 remake. I'd love to see just a new Silent Hills and what that could be like.
Yeah.
On current generation or even next generation. I'd love to see what it could be.
Like, was there going to be
PT was just
was there going to be combat,
tease.
or was there going to be like just like, was it going to be first person the entire thing?
Maybe. And when I say horrible tease, I mean horrible as in it's a shame that we got something so good in such a bite-sized format that could have been something amazing.
Yeah.
And we have not seen the realized full product, which bums me out.
But. Yeah. What a fascinating documentary that would be, just going into that, but just the entire Kojima thing with Konami.
I know that's a story that needs to be fully explained and explored, because I bet it really is fascinating.
I mean, I'm sure
we don't often get documentaries on like the drama in the games industry, and that's definitely a very dramatic story, I'd imagine.
I'm sure there is so much legal stuff around all of that it's like, who knows, like, when any of that stuff would surface.
Yeah, if we're lucky, we'll hear that story in a decade or longer after all the heat is cooled down. Because I imagine at Konami that's still a touchy subject, and even for Kojima himself, I'm sure he's over it by now because he's doing cool stuff with Kojima Productions and whatnot. But, at some point, I hope we do hear that story because it's worth telling.
For sure.
But yeah, dude, speaking of mods, Capital Wasteland is back in development. This comes from Tyler McDonald of COG Connected. He says, although its development was halted earlier this year due to legal concerns, the Fallout 3 remake mod Capital Wasteland is now back in action. The mod uses Fallout 4's engine, plans to record the game's 45,000 lines of script with new voices to sidestep the legal issue that initially halted development. From one of the main developers, he says, quote, "For myself, after working for hundreds of hours on this project and then having to stop, really made me depressed. Something I had an extreme passion for was suddenly not there anymore," he continued. "So after taking a few months break, I slowly picked up the pieces and continued my work on the Capital Wasteland." Tyler chimes back in at the end and says, "Of course, the team is now on the hunt for both voice actors and additional developers, and you can apply for both positions here. Speaking of which, Preston, I've applied for voice acting in that game because a few reasons. One, of course, I'm a hardcore Fallout fan, at least Fallout 3 and onward. And of course, I feel like they're doing the Lord's work recreating this game and Fallout 4's engine, and being willing to go the extra mile, far beyond the extra mile, and re-record all 45,000 lines of dialogue. And even if I chime in with a line or two, if they even accept me, I think it would be really cool. And I've wanted to dabble in voice acting for a while.
Yeah.
So I applied, and I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention listening to this podcast, whether you're looking to get into development, or I think it's primarily development roles and voice acting, but either of the two, and you have the capability of recording yourself well, and you're interested in trying to be a part of this recreation of Fallout 3, which may or may not be futile. We don't know how it'll finally turn out or if it'll ever come out. But if you want to take a shot at voice acting or development, they're offering positions. So
yeah,
the link is out there in the world.
I was going to actually send that to you to get you to do it, but you did it yourself.
I remember when we first heard about this mod in development, that's something I'd considered before. I can't remember if I applied or not, but I applied this time through their website, and you guys can probably easily find this link if you just Google Fallout 3 mod, Capital Wasteland back in development, or even go to COG's news section. You can find it really easily there. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. I think it's a cool opportunity, and hopefully it plays out well for all involved, because I think that could be really cool.
Yep.
Are you at all interested in playing that mod? I mean, mods are what they are, but the fact that this is a faithful recreation of Fallout 3 is kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I'm extremely interested. I don't really think about it too much, or I don't want to get excited for it, because I know that those things take literally forever to come out.
Oh yeah, and to think that they'd have to re-record, and I'm sure they'll scrap some of it, because recording 45,000 lines of dialogue is quite the endeavor. Yeah. And if this mod ever does release, and I'm by some miracle included in it as some dinky character, I think that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hope for the best on that front, but I think it's pretty cool that they're continuing the work on it, and hopefully their perseverance pays off.
For sure.
But yeah, Preston, we are at the very beginning of 2019. Therefore, news is pretty meager at the moment, so there isn't anything else to discuss other than community questions. But yeah, we have an exciting month ahead with Kingdom Hearts and Resident Evil, and then, of course, more in February and beyond. So we discussed last week how excited we are for games in 2019.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything else to talk about if you want to jump into community questions. I know this is a pretty fast-paced podcast. It'll probably be pretty short, but then again, we're all separated. And like I said, news is minimal. But if you're up for it, I'm ready for community questions.
Garrett, I'm ready to hop in.
Dude, that gets me so excited. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for continuing to write in questions to this show to be read on air to the world that always spice up the conversation here. Last week, we argued about pies for about 5 minutes, and those are the kind of questions that will completely evolve the subject matter of this podcast. So we encourage you to keep them coming, whether they're video game related or not. I was actually cycling through our backlog prior to this episode beginning to brainstorm a new episode of Ask IOG, which is incoming soon because I have some time off this week, and I'd love to team up with either you and Jacob, or at least one of you, if it's at all possible to do that, because there are some juicy ones that I almost included on this episode, but I think they serve Ask IOG better, and I know you guys enjoy that show, and I want to bring it back as often as possible. So look forward to that, but in the meantime, if you want your questions read on this show or Ask IOG, you can reach us in one of 3 places. You can email us at ItsObviousGaming@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at obvious_gaming, or submit your questions in the Ask IOG section of our Discord channel. Now, if you're reaching out to us in any of those places, always include the hashtag AskIOG so we know you want your question read publicly. We'd hate to accidentally read your private messages to a bunch of people. That being said, all of that information can be found in any description of any format you're listening to this podcast in, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Audio Boom, or YouTube. All that info is down below. You can reach it there, and we encourage you to do so. Preston, the first one comes from Nolan. Nolan says, do you feel games are losing their content interests by putting them behind paid DLCs or microtransactions? Would you be happier paying like $80 to $100 for a full game straight instead of all that later content, all that added income? Well, hold on, let me read the sentence again. Would you be happier paying $80 to $100 for a full game straight instead of all the later added in content?
Isn't that kind of the
same thing? I think this
thing?
It's kind of a complicated answer, because sometimes DLC, they don't have time to have it develop for the full game, where it takes extra time, and there's obviously a deadline for games to launch. And there are also times where you can tell that it was added in just for the sake of having extra content later on. So it really depends on the motivations of the developer, I think. But there have been cases in the past where DLC has been excluded because of deadlines. I can't name any specific points, but I know those have been the cases before. But I think, theoretically speaking, let's say that every developer always had time to include all that extra content. Maybe I'd pay $80 to $100, but I don't know. It really depends on the situation. What do you think, Preston?
I mean, it depends. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. If you think about like a season's pass, it's like $20 or $40. It's around what he's saying, like $80, $100. Mm-hmm. So I guess with DLC now, you just have the full game for $60 or less, and then you can decide if you want to pay for that extra content as opposed to being forced to pay for all of it up front, you know?
Yeah, I think what stumps people is the idea that it's separated, that they'd have to pay, pay for the season's pass. To them, in their mind, it's separated, so it's almost like grabbing that extra bit of content that's separated for the game and adding it to it.
Yeah.
Whereas instead of it calling it a season's pass, just all that extra content is already included in paying that much money.
Yeah.
I think it's just a mindset thing. Like what you just said makes total sense. Like having the season's pass is essentially paying $80 or more for the quote unquote full game.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people just have the mindset that if there's DLC, then they're getting scammed, that, oh, this should have been in the game in the first place. And you don't, I'm sure that's happened at some point before, but all the games that I play, like, for instance, like Spider-Man and stuff like that I did not feel like at all that was just ripped from the game or anything, or
same with me. Even if it was included in the game, let's pretend all that DLC was just, it wasn't separated, broken into chunks. It was just one giant bit of story. It'd be kind of weird if it picked up right where the story ends and just goes into all that, because it would just kind of throw off like the emotional impact of the ending of the game. I
agree.
So I was more than happy to pay for that additional content in Spider-Man. I know it's a case-by-case basis, because Spider-Man, you and I both thoroughly enjoyed and wanted more of that. So I'd gladly pay even more money for Spider-Man content. But that stuff makes sense as DLC, because it's its own standalone thing. Now, at the end of the day, if that never existed, I wouldn't be upset, because what we got was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But again, I was glad to pay for it because I just wanted more of that gameplay. So yeah, dude, I don't have much more to add, but I think the best point you made was the season pass thing, where if it exists and Lord willing, the content's actually good, then paying that extra $20 or more is usually worth it. So yeah, I would say, to answer your question, Nolan, with a season pass in mind, I am more than willing to pay $80 to $100 for a certain version of a game, depending on what I'm getting into. You got anything else, Preston?
No, it's I feel the same. I don't know.
Alrighty. Well, Jared Revered writes in and says, "Hello, fellas. I just got a gaming PC for the first time recently and would like to try getting into some FPS, but I don't know where to start. I would like a game that will get me used to the mouse and keyboard without having to get crushed by regular PC gamers. Any suggestions?" I'll let you go first, Preston. I have a couple of my own. Insurgency Sandstorm.
I would say Black Ops 4. That's just any COD game, I think, in general would be a good way to kind of get accustomed to PC controls, and you don't have to jump into an online match straight away. You can always just get accustomed to it in either an older COD game through the campaign mode, or just in particular Black Ops 4, you can always play just a private match with bots, and you can set them to super easy, just so you can, go on some killing sprees, build your confidence up, let you kind of feel out what's going on. And then just any other like FPS with a single player mode, honestly, can kind of just you just kind of just have to play it. I don't know if there's like a a tutorial game really on how to get accustomed to it. You kind of just gotta kind of play it and just get used to it. What about you, sir?
Yeah, any game that will allow you to play with bots is especially helpful. I think Overwatch lets you do that, if I'm not mistaken. I think, but if not, even in Overwatch, for example, that's a pretty easy shooter to pick up on mouse and keyboard, I believe. And I remember when I first got into shooters on PC, or at least when I got into Overwatch and PC, I'll say I went into like the training arena and just shot at all the robots for a good 20 minutes, and you quickly get a feel for it there. I know I plug this game a lot, but Hunt Showdown is a very slow-paced game, and you're rarely ever in just super intense, fast-paced firefights in that game. So that's one that I played so much of that I quickly had a grasp on first-person shooting on mouse and keyboard. Now, it's very different, of course, like Preston mentioned, with Call of Duty and even Insurgency and Battlefield and stuff like that. But if you want a slow-paced experience to get a feel for mouse and keyboard, Hunt Showdown's another good one. But yeah, I think Preston, I'd say number one for me would probably be Black Ops as well. So yeah, dude, but enjoy, because there's a lot of good stuff on PC that we are enjoying, and shooters are a big one. And I am just stoked out of my mind to get into some of that Doom Eternal on keyboard and mouse when it launches.
Yeah.
It'll be sick, dude. So sick. Speaking of which, Mick Gordon, if you guys YouTube Mick Gordon's YouTube channel, he made or his Twitter, he announced that he's seeking a choir of metal screamers for a, quote, game he's currently writing music for, which I think we all know which game that is. Just that phrase alone, a choir of metal screamers, it sounds amazing, and I have the utmost confidence in whatever he's doing. So if you check out that video, he kind of explains what you need to do to potentially be a part of it. But if you have the capability of screaming, which I know of you, a few of you out there that listen to this podcast have been in metal bands or are in metal bands, and some of you I think are metal vocalists, definitely look out for Mick Gordon's Twitter or his YouTube channel and take a look at his announcement for that metal choir, because you could potentially be a part of what we assume to be Doom Eternal soundtrack, and that just sounds incredibly badass, so go check it out. Matthew Durkin is the big finale this week, Preston. He writes in and says, "Hey, Biles, do you think it's possible for an action-adventure game to be made and successful, but death has a more real emotional grip on the player regardless of friend or foe? A game where death matters, the way that God of War affects viewers. I thought of this because Red Dead Redemption 2 is a great game, but the amount of people Arthur kills takes me out of the experience and story. I know it's a game trend, but could this trend be defied effectively. Y'all keep rocking those high knee socks. I know what you mean, Matthew Durkin. It's like in Uncharted, how it was a joke for a long time that Nathan Drake is a mass murderer, which is hilarious. And they dialed that back a bit in Uncharted 4, and he kills less people. Now, at the end of the day, you're still killing hundreds of people. But I know where you're coming from.
It's self-defense, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you could do it effectively or not in single player. I know it feels effective to me. Forgive me, but in Hunt Showdown,
oh my God,
there are so few players on the map that in multiplayer experiences, sometimes death matters more, of course, than in single player. Whereas if you're lucky, you'll kill 2, maybe 3 or 4 people in Hunt Showdown, but every firefight feels super intense because there's so much at stake. And I think depending on the stakes of the death is when it feels impactful. So that's why deaths and kills and Hunt Showdown feel so effective. Now, on the emotional front, it's only emotional because I get really pissed off or depressed because I'm losing a lot each time I die in that game. Whereas in a story-based game, emotionally, I don't really know how you make much more of an impact unless it has anything to do with story. If it's just general gameplay, I don't really know how you make that impactful. What do you think, Preston?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't see any of these AAA games really doing anything like that because for the most part, combat is a big portion of these games, and nobody really wants to play a game where there's like one combat situation where you kill like maybe 2 or 3 people, because that would be the most realistic thing, honestly. So I just can't see that happening. It's like the Tomb Raider reboot tried to do something like that, whereas the first time Laura killed somebody, it was like a big deal. But then it kind of is completely negated because you end up killing like 50,000 people the rest of the game, you know? So I don't know if that will be done or can ever really be done in a main AAA release like an Uncharted or a Red Dead Redemption. Maybe it could be tackled in a smaller game or something like that. That's probably the only way I could see it being tackled.
I second the notion, my friend.
Cool.
That's all I got, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean that's all really I can say about that. I understand what you're saying, but at the end of the day, it's just a video.
At the end of the day, just play Hunt Showdown.
Yeah.
Which I think I'm going to play a bit of myself today, purely for pleasure.
Oh wow,
it's been a while. What are you doing? I know you got to pack and stuff today. Yeah. You have anything else going on?
No, I have to travel.
When are you leaving?
Around 5.
Oh, buddy, we got a little time. If you have a window of opportunity, we should play something together before you leave.
Okay, I'll let you know.
That sound good, my friend?
That sounds good.
Cool. Well, Preston, that's all for me and the community. Unfortunately, it was a very short podcast, but I had the utmost pleasure.
We were the length of a normal podcast.
Were we? Was it an hour and a half?
No, an hour.
Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. At least we hit 60 minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
Got that going for us.
We got that.
Cool, man. Well, just wanted to say, of course, I know it's a slow start to the year, but the action's about to pick up with all the games coming out. Well, plenty of stuff to discuss. I'm going to do my best to do reaction videos and just I don't want to do purely reaction videos, but as many impressions type videos on camera I can this year for the channel. And whenever we have time, of course, throw up some highlight videos of Let's Plays we've recorded if it works out. But so I want to provide a little more content for the channel, and because we still, as much as it may not seem this way, we still do have passion for ItsObviousGaming. We're very busy, of course, as we've said countless times, but I still love this channel and I love our community, and we're so thankful for you guys. And of course, we highly encourage you to comment down below on anything we discuss this week. And of course, we'll talk more in Discord. It's always a pleasure, an honor, and privilege to have you all tuning in and week out. And we love you to bits. That's all from me, Preston.
For sure, man. Well, that was the It's Obvious podcast. We really appreciate everybody that tuned in. Please subscribe to us over at Apple Podcasts and over at youtube.com/ItsObviousGaming. And again, please check the description down below for links to all our social media pages. Go follow us on there as well. But I think that'll do it for episode 185. Again, we really appreciate you guys checking us out, and be sure to check us out next week as well.
Amen, brother.
All right. Well, thanks everybody, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
See ya.
Bye.